All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at Joey's 315-pound clean PR, 143 kilos. It's the first time he's ever done this. He also told me that he had never done hook grip, so he has started doing hook grip after this clean workout, but for this one, he is not using hook grip at all. Let's go and take a look at it. So first thing I'm noticing is spending a lot of time moving around, getting the bar set into position. Not ideal. A little bit of a yank there off the ground. It's kind of rushed in that first start position, but and kind of a little wobbly throughout, but a good clean. And there's like little things that he can fix that will make this feel a lot easier, but overall, really solid. I think you probably got more in the tank if you clean those small technique things up. First thing that I would recommend is walk up to the bar, put your hands on the bar, get your lats tight, pull your hips down, and then start. Don't mess around with all this rolling around with the bar like that, like it. All that is going to make your start position incredibly inconsistent, and it's hard to build good habits on inconsistent lifts. All right, next thing, let's go and take a look at start position. Your hips are a little bit low compared to a lot of other people. I would recommend probably get your hips up just a little higher, maybe. Next thing, lats tight before you drop your hips in your setup. So here's where you get your lats tight. And then as you start to drop your hips, it's a technique in deadlifting called wedging. So if you get your lats tight here, you pull your hips down. There's going to be so much tension on your arms and in the bar. All that slack is going to be pulled out of the bar that when you start to pull your hips down, the bar almost starts coming off the ground. And that's the kind of tension that you want, because then that means that you don't actually have to work that hard to get it moving right off the ground. All right. Whereas here, you're relaxed, then you get your lats tight. You kind of see him shrug and then shove his shoulders down, and then he starts immediately. So that kind of rushing that pull is going to make it so you're almost working against the bar, right? Because you have to pull all that slack out before you start. But if you pull the slack and immediately start, more than likely you haven't pulled all the slack out that you could. All right, so position-wise, he's looking pretty good. His shoulders are above his hips. He's staying over the bar. The bar might be a little too far away from him right here. Hard to tell from that angle. But he gets back in close. He's still over the bar, which is great. A little bit of an elbow bend, but that's pretty normal on cleans, especially for somebody who's not using hook grip. And then at the top of the pull, he's just not quite finishing it, especially with the hips extension. He's got good leg extension, and he's staying very vertical, but he's missing the hips. And if he gets that, he's going to move that bar so much higher. He'd clean 330, 340 pretty easily, I think. Now we've got space here under the bar, in between the bar and his shoulders. I'd like to see him start to try and meet the bar a little bit higher. See still space. He's getting his elbows under, and there is where he meets it. And it kind of causes him to crumble a little bit. So he doesn't necessarily have terrible front rack mobility, but when you have 315 pounds body slam your shoulders, it does make it a lot harder to have good front rack position. And then, stands up with it pretty easily. He's a little bit out of position there because of the crash, but if he fixes that crash and tries to, he kind of needs to do a complex that I've been programming for people recently who have a hard time of understanding where the bar is. I call it a high, medium, low complex, where you're going to power clean as high as you can. And then the next rep, you're going to do a power clean, but you're going to meet it a little bit lower. And then the next rep, you're going to do a clean, but you're going to still try and intend to meet that bar wherever you're receiving it at, and then pass through the squat. So it just kind of gives you an idea of like how to pull under and meet the bar where it's at, as opposed to just being all power clean or squat clean, whatever, which is what most people who do like CrossFit or football tend to think, right? So that nuance of knowing where the bar is, super important as you start to get to these heavier and heavier weights. Those would be the biggest recommendations. Fix your setup so you're not spending so much time on it. Just get your hands set, hips are up high, get your lats set, drop your hips, and use that drop of the hips to start the movement. All right. That's going to help you control your speed so you're not rushing it off the ground. And then that makes it so you can get faster throughout your pull, which is going to set you up so that you can extend your hips more. And then you are going to try and get under it and meet the bar where it's at. Don't let it crash on top of you, because then it's so much harder to stand up out of the squat. And that's really it. Yeah. I mean, you got good positions. You're strong. I think that you could probably clean a lot more than this if you just fix those small things. That'll just take some practice. So, all right, guys, that's it for the day.